welcome back to another amazing episode of Rough Sketch to Final Draft. I am your host, Coach Adam, and we are here again traveling on a journey of discovery and understanding and growth in our careers, professionally, personally, intimately with ourselves as we're working on all these different components in life. And for season 2, we have a whole entire direction about the idea about growth and searching for personal excellence and taking that next step in our journey from our healing transformation and into creating something. And today I'm visited by an amazing guest who has done exactly that, which is transform his life and himself into being able to create something that gives back to others. So Justin, if you'd like to introduce yourself to our audience, please take it away, good sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin, and I own a brand called Modusimo. Let's
And now the
hope
Modusimo.
that I could deliver, as this is my first podcast ever. And yeah, that's about it. Let's hope we have a good show, and I can entertain the people at home listening.
Most definitely. Now, the Modusimo brand, being that it is for fitness and for excellence and for the achievement of things, can you let us know a little bit about the background behind the inspiration of coming up with that name and what that means to you and to anyone that wants to be a part of that?
Yeah, of course. I guess I could start out with where the idea started out, because that's pretty much what the brand was before anything else. It all just started out as a bunch of ideas, talking it out with a bunch of my friends, and I just said, "Hey, I want to be more. Like I don't want to just sit here and work every day of my life towards someone else's dream. I want to be able to put everything I have together with my friends and hopefully build something out of it." And
Hmm.
that's pretty much when I started thinking, well, okay, well, what do I like as a passion? I started doing some self-reflecting. What do I like enjoying? What do I do every day? And before I realized, like, I habitually go to the gym as often as I possibly can. So I said, okay, well, what if I open up my own gym? I understand the machines. I'm in there with like the programs. I'm pretty familiar with bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, whatnot.
Hmm.
So I said, let's just open up a gym. And then I started looking at the numbers, and to open up any kind of gym, you require intense financial support. So I don't have that. I'm only a little 20-year-old, 24-year-old kid. So um, obviously I didn't have
Yep.
that money. So I started researching at other brands and gyms. And I said, okay, well, how did they start? And there's a brand
Yeah.
called Alphalete, and they own a gym
Hmm.
in Texas called Alpha Land. And, they've been around
Yeah.
forever, and they're not going anywhere now that they've solidified their spot in the industry. But they own this massive gym in Texas. And when you start looking back into it, they all started out with a clothing brand. And I said, okay, well, everybody wears clothes. So let's
Hmm.
start out as a clothing brand. Then that's where it got a little more complicated. Then it was, instead of focusing on, okay, the end goal is this, now we have to start from square one. How do we build from square one to 10 years up to the line? And
Yeah.
from there I just started sketching down ideas. I said, okay, well, what do I want to make this brand about? Because I didn't want to
Hmm.
do a quick cash grab scheme or something temporary to where shows up, does like one or two drops, or has just one main logo to where you can't incorporate it into anything else, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then the brand disappears. So that's when I was like, okay, what could be lucrative that could be moved around, that's liquid, could be used in multiple different applications, could be teamed up with other companies, brands, people, something people could recognize if they see it. That's when I got down to, okay, Gymshark has a shark, Dark Sport has a wolf, Inaka has a teddy bear.
Right.
I was like, okay, well, the theme of animals seems pretty cool. So I said, okay, well, I don't see a lot of snakes. So then I just started
Hmm.
getting down. I was like, you know what? There's some really dope. I started looking down on my leg, honestly, because I have like 3 snakes tattooed on my leg. And I was just like, snakes are pretty cool. And you can
Yeah.
like do so many things with snakes. So I said, okay, let's jot it down a little bit. Let's start looking at some tattoos of snakes, possibly, or something like that. And
Yeah.
from there,
Right.
I cropped out the little head of the snake and I said, this could be potentially big. Sent it out to a designer. He got back to me, sent me a few rough drafts. I said, that's it. Like after months, it was like, boom, that's it. That was it right there. And that's gonna be the main logo of the brand. And so far, that's where we are right now. I'll go into more into depth the
I love
more
it.
you ask about it. But yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a fantastic start for anyone who's going to get a chance to listen to this. I know that you have a huge following as well with this. I mean, it's a moment really to take a moment to step back, even in appreciation for you being on the show today. I'm honored to have you, as I'm sure that the whole entire Rough Sketch of Final Draft family will embrace you, as they always lovingly do. We have such a beautiful community here. Um, and just, as a shout out to you as well, go ahead and leave a like and a comment down below for Justin for being on the show today, fam. He's absolutely incredible. I've been looking forward to getting a chance to assist anyone in their journey, and this humbleness that you have with the authenticity of what you created and what you wanted to bring forth and the actual reasons on why is such a moving, compelling element of the fact of really getting a chance to bring something forward out there into the world of creation of today. We have so many corporate brands out there that do what they do, and blessings to them in that regard. And we have so many amazing individual creators, such as yourself, nowadays in 2023 and beyond, that are coming from this place of heart, and they want to create something because they really care about the community that they're creating. And there's an intent, right? I mean, in the sense with Gymshark and Alpha Elite and so on and so forth, and your amazing brand, there's this idea of creating something with creators, right? We're creating people and creating with creators, and I love that. So with the idea of where the brand came from and the meaning and so on and so forth, what were some of the inspirations for the designs that have really got you going on this whole entire aspect of this journey? So go into the designs a little bit for us.
Oh man. So I will have to start out by saying I am not artistically inclined whatsoever. I could barely draw a straight line without screwing that up. I'm pretty sure in high school
No.
I got like a D plus for art. Like I'm not artistically inclined. So I would just hop on like
Yeah.
a Photoshop app on my phone and I would pretty much crop and put pictures together. And most people probably think that, oh, this guy just sits down and draws and sketches all day, but I promise you I don't. I just take pictures and stick them all together and I'm like, okay, this looks pretty cool. And I find some people that are
Yeah.
way more talented than me, and I tell them, hey, this is my idea. Do you think we could put this on
Yeah.
a t-shirt? Potentially, can you add this
Yeah.
to it and whatnot? And we end up working closely together, and that's pretty much where it comes out with. But it's all roughly sketched out. In fact, most of
Mm.
the designs that even came out today, I would say, and what will be coming out in the future, have been relatively thought out way beforehand. Um,
Mm.
so when I first started this brand, technically, quote unquote, I would say I started it February of 22, quote
Mm.
unquote, even though I had my
Right.
first drop in September of 22. Well, the reason was I
Yeah.
was just researching everything from uh, designs, suppliers, um, website building, how to get shipping set up, because I didn't
Mm.
really have anybody top of my shoulder to tell me, hey man, if you want to buy good t-shirts, good quality t-shirts, good quality sweats, shorts, whatnot, good designers, this is what you got to do. You got to sign up on this and this and this. I didn't have
Yeah.
anything like that. So
Mm.
when you're learning from nothing to just trying to start, because the starting is, I would say, harder than getting the ball rolling and eventually getting multiple drops, or pretty much that can apply to anything in life. Just first starting is the hardest part. So without having
Yeah.
anybody on top of my shoulder to tell me, hey man, what you're doing is not right, do this instead, or I've experienced this, do follow this route instead. Um,
Mm.
I didn't have that. So it was from
Yeah.
February to September was just, okay, this works, this
Mm.
doesn't work. let's spend money on this, let's spend money on that, let's spend money on this. It's just like constant, just building and improving and building and improving, and just designing on my free time. And even if it doesn't even work out, and I think the design today could be garbage, well, back then I thought it was cool. And even you're just if you're just throwing darts at a board, eventually you just start seeing an eye to it. You're like, okay, well, back then I didn't like it, but now I do.
Yeah.
Or I could implement it like this, or I could change this out around it. So it was
Yeah.
just like everything that I could potentially do at the time, I'll just do it, everything. And I would just save everything. And like my computer's a whole mess, my phone's a whole mess, just pictures and screenshots everywhere. And I'm just like
Yeah.
compiling everything. And I'm like, okay, now I got to organize it and bring it all together. So
Yeah.
when it comes to the designs, some if not all have been pretty much thought out, but there's always times where a design that I could have made possibly 6 to 8 months ago, I look
Mm.
back at now, and right before I ship it out to my supplier and say, begin producing it,
Mm.
um, I end up changing it completely last second, and I'm just like, you know what? Let's just roll with this instead.
Yeah.
And before you know it, most things end up being in that way, if that makes sense. Instead of focusing on,
Absolutely.
okay, let's just think everything thought out and roll with every thought out thing, you'd be surprised at how many topics have just been, all right, this looks cool, let's just roll with it.
Yeah.
This looks dope, let's just go with that instead. I know
Yeah.
I thought about this 6 months ago, but let's just do this instead. And
Yeah.
before you know it, it eventually ends up working itself out. um yeah, that's about it. I'll just work with people for the designs, bring them out, spin them out, change them around if I needed to, just a little tweak. And before you know it, they're on a t-shirt and they're out in the world like this one.
I love it. There we go. And we will leave the links down in the description down below to be able to find your amazing merch and to be able to support you. I mean, this family and this community is growing. Thank you again, fam, to the fact that we're at 605 subscribers right now for the YouTube channel. That happened in the past week as we're growing and growing. We're at 4,000 and almost 500 now on the Instagram. So this family is embracing, and they're going to love you. Um, and I think that you're absolutely correct. And I think that it resonates a lot with a great amount of creatives out there in the universe of this sphere of giving back and wanting to create in an organic, authentic way. That these happy accidents, as you're mentioning, and the fact that it really wasn't planned, but hey, it works, and let's just roll with it. To the idea of that it's a rough sketch to final draft in life. We're really just figuring this out as we go. I mean, that's the entire ethos of the entire show here is really about the fact of embracing and holding space and creating this idea for individuals who are listening to have acceptance and to allow themselves to understand that it's not always going to be going exactly to plan. It sometimes works out even when we're not planning it. It works out just for us in that regard, anyways. And you're a great testament to that, Justin. Your journey with this entire brand is incredible. And I'm rooting for you. This entire family's rooting for you, good sir. I'm proud of you, how far you've come, and who knows what's going to be coming for 2024. So, with that, let's transition into the idea of where is this headed? Where are we going, Justin? Where is Modusimo? Where is the future taking? What do you see for the company?
Oh man, let's see, millions of dollars. No, I'm just kidding. No, for real though. What I do see
Absolutely.
it growing into is potentially the end goal of what I said from the start was opening up my own gym. And
Yeah.
so far as of right now, everything that I've kind of talked about at least, is
Yeah.
written down, and it's all been thought out. It's in a master plan that
Mm.
I've published on the website. If you go on the About Us page, and a little link that says, if you want to read more, click here. And if you click on it, it'll take
Mm.
you to like a master plan that I wrote last year, and then the update that I did to it this year for where everything's going and how far we are towards the goal and whatnot. But
Yay.
the goal is to first off have a team of bodybuilders, team of bodybuilders and power
Mm.
lifters, or just anyone in general that is in a sport, and just have a whole
Yeah.
team of these sponsored athletes that just love to get on stage, perform, and just make a good positive image out to the world. And
Mm.
along with that, there are obviously going to be ambassadors right below them. Well, I don't know if that's the right wording, but the ambassador program that will be open
Sure,
to
sure.
everybody
Mhm. Yep.
to get in and right. And then the sponsored athletes a tier above that will actually be tied down to the brand, contracted in, and the money will start to get involved. But the point of it is to open up a
Mm.
gym as big as possible. I guess 60,000 square feet, 70,000 square feet, whatever Alpha Land is. But to bring that to the west coast of
Mm.
America, which could, what I'm thinking so far is Vegas. Vegas is like just a desert, pretty much. You could
Mm.
open anything up if you want, as long as you plot the land. And because it's got so much space, I think that it would be a massive market because Vegas is just continually growing and it's just not going to
Mm.
stop. And on top of that, when they hold the Olympias there, um, it just gets crazy packed with bodybuilders. And even in June,
True.
they'll be having the powerlifting nationals out there. So just have this massive facility that is going to be cut off into sections. Powerlifting, bodybuilding, a little bit of cardio, not too much. And just have this really cool atmosphere that people could
Yeah.
just come and hang out at, work out in, and get on with their lives pretty much. But in the whole gym, I just want my athletes to be there, supporting the energy, supporting the brand, along with the ambassadors coming in and obviously working out, um, along with my friends that have helped me build this brand to where it's at. Big shout out to them, man. I would not be here if it wasn't for my friends.
Right. That's right. And to that point, I mean, that's a beautiful picture for the putting it out there in the manifestation of the universe for 2024 and beyond. And we're going to be here as a family from Rough Sketch to Final Draft and Coach Adam to support that on all ways possible. And trust me, I'm honored to be a part of the journey in any capacity as well. Um, Point being is what is the message then behind the brand? That's a huge undertaking. It's a huge movement forward. What is the message that you would like anyone who's listening
Yeah.
now and in
So
the
the
future
main
to really resonate with the
slogan that
fact
I
of what the
guess
brand stands
the
for?
brand
Like, what is the
resonates with
message behind the
is
brand?
called
Because that
"To
matters.
Push
It hits
Beyond
people
Every
in
Limit
the
and
heart.
Break
And
Through All Ceilings."
right.
And another that most people have seen on the shirts says "No pressure, no diamonds." It's pretty
Mm.
much like no matter what you're going through, and I'm sure people have heard this millions of times with every other clothing brand, but no matter what you're going through, there's always tomorrow. You know, no matter what happens
Yeah.
today, you can wake up tomorrow and choose to be a better version of yourself yesterday. And when it
Mm.
comes to building into something, it's not always going to be a smooth road. And the way I see it is you're always killing the older version of yourself every time you're learning. Learning can be
Mm.
considered as death,
Yeah.
to where
Mm.
you are
I
breaking
love
through
that.
all these ceilings that people could have, or yourself could have set for yourself as you're learning and growing into something better. And eventually the end goal is to go through all these trials and tribulations to where when you reach your goal, you are that diamond that you've been perfecting. All the pressure that has been
Mm.
set on you, you end up becoming a much better person at the end of the day. You grow and learn along with hopefully bringing people with you. Obviously that's the whole main goal, bring everybody together and grow together, obviously. And
Amen.
that's pretty much what the brand stands for. That you are
Mm.
racing towards this never-ending finish line of not perfection, but improvement and
Mm.
I'm not sure how else to say it. Growth is that the right word to say for it?
Amen. Yep. Working towards personal growth as we shed that other layer of skin from before. Absolutely. We're going through our transformation cocoonal phase
Exactly.
of going from the caterpillar to the butterfly, going from the snake who had the skin from before and shedding that and transforming into this new version of ourselves. And that's on brand with our podcast here and our audience of personal growth and development and soul searching. So that's phenomenal. Just chef's kiss in that regard to that sense, good sir. So what's a little bit
Oh
more about
man.
that? Dig a little bit deeper in the fact of what is the actual name Modusimo mean? Where does that come from? What is the meaning behind that? And what was the meaningfulness for you for choosing the actual name itself? Share with us a little bit about that too.
And that's like a whole controversy in itself, man. I had so many people go through like, so like, how do you say it? Like mode,
Yeah.
mood. Like, how do you say it, man? I'm just like,
Right.
so like, you just say it as the way it's spelled out. It's called Modusimo.
There you go.
Modusimo. Um, and there's a whole story in itself before I even came out
Mm,
with the name. When I
yeah.
was coming up with the main logo, I said, okay, well, I know I want the main logo to be a snake. And I
Mm,
started coming out with all these designs. And before I realized, I was like, okay, cool. I have a few designs ready to go. And I've ordered a few samples from some of my suppliers. And I've talked to a few people. And the idea looks pretty solidified, looks cool. What am I going to
yeah.
call it? I just realized I haven't even got a name for what my brand could be. So I said, okay,
Yeah.
let's just sit down. Snakes. Can't call it Slither. No, that sounds weird. Oh man, can't call it fit snakes. No, that sounds cringy. No, you can't do that either. I'm like, okay, well,
For sure.
let's look into stuff like Greek mythology because I'm gonna have some Greek mythology stuff coming
Mm,
out, eventually down the line.
mm,
So then I started
yeah.
sketching. I was like, there's a Medusa right there. She got snakes on her head.
Mm,
That sounds pretty cool. And that's just straight. That would just tie it into the Greek mythology thing too much. So with the help of powerful AI and random name generator, I put in Medusa and I was like, okay, cool. Brand name, clothing with Medusa. And then it started spitting out
yeah.
all these different versions of names that I could potentially call my brand. And I said, okay, it came out with Modus. And I said, okay, Modus looks pretty cool. Then you start Googling, okay, is there anything else named Modus in the world? And there are a few things called named Modus. And I'm like, okay, well, can't name
Yeah.
it that then. It's going to be too close, or I don't want to deal with, copyright infringement or trademark infringement or anything like that. So I said,
Sure.
okay,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be Medusa. Let's try to modernize, not modernize it, but it's more so like masculinize it, if that's the right word to say it. I said
Sure.
Modus
Sure.
emo. So, let's just put
No.
those two words together. I said Modusimo, and I sat there and looking at it for like a while, and I was like, okay, this looks pretty weird. Modusimo. I started
Yeah.
showing it to a few of my friends, like, hey, how do you say this? And even back then, I got the Modusimo, mod, and I was like, yeah, okay, this,
Good.
if it's got people's attention, if it's if people are looking at it saying, what is that? Chances are
Yeah.
I'm going to hold their attention long enough for them to maybe check out some stuff on my Instagram out or just maybe check out my website. So
Nice.
that's okay. Modusimo sounds pretty cool. And it kind of ties in with the snake theme of the logo, I'd say, pretty good. So
Yeah.
after I ran with that, Modusimo it was, and the M and the snakehead are now pretty much here to stay.
Love it. Love it. It's all just literally a creative element in things, isn't it? The fact of literally it's a rough sketch and you kind of figure it out as you go. Would you say?
Yeah, I would say honestly, there are a lot of complicated things that go in the background,
Yeah.
but when you try to simplify as much of it as possible, you end up saving not only yourself, but the people that are involved a lot of headaches. Um,
Yeah.
if I were to sit here and go back and forth with 30 different ideas with somebody else,
Mm,
it would just eternally complicate it by so much. So that's why I go through
yeah.
all the complications by myself. And what I try to put out is a simplified version and just we go from there. Because
Yeah.
the world is like, I don't know if I can say it's like the world is really complicated. And when you
Mm,
introduce more complicated into it, it doesn't really help it. You only have so long before people are just not interested in what you're putting out. So the more
Yeah.
simple you could keep things to yourself, obviously, and to other people, and the general mass, you'd be
Mm,
surprised to see how better that works rather than some hidden meaning that people have to search for, or okay, like, yeah, your name is this, but what does this have to do with that or whatnot? So I enjoy telling people where I got the name of my brand because they think it's going to be some complicated, crazy mess. And I just say, no, I just like snakes look pretty cool. And Modusimo was, and here we are now. And that's pretty much it. And I think that's something a lot of people just in general end up finding out about me. It's like when they first meet me, they expect me to be like super stiff, back straight, just not
mm,
joking around, not laughing, smiling. And then within five
sure.
minutes, I'm just kind of like, hey, man, um, just call me bro. Like we're not in a suit and tie. We're in a gym. We're
Yeah.
wearing shorts and oversized shirts. Like we're just here to have a good time, man. Just put
Yeah.
in the work and go home and go on with it.
Yeah. You've got the good heart in that sense, Justin. Ever since I met you, I'm happy to share that with the audience and the family here. You are the genuine article, and I know that in the searching of creating a company and being an example to others and leading by example, as we're being an example to others, we get in our worlds the opportunity to have many mentors and people that influence us and really kind of gravitate our soul's essence towards to want to become better leaders and have someone to model ourselves after. As we're being a role model for others, we're also modeling ourselves after others. Tony Robbins, Dale Carnegie's, Stephen Covey's, Mel Robbins, Russell Brand's, these types out there in the world. Currently, right now in the world, what are some of the influences that you look up to or that have inspired you, that move you? Perhaps podcasters, perhaps motivational speakers. Where do you usually find your inspiration in the fact of honing in? Because coaches have coaches, therapists have therapists, and leaders obviously look towards other
Mhm.
leaders. What are some of your inspirations so the audience knows that?
Definitely, I would say for that is mostly my friends that are around me every day. Obviously, like someone like you. Every time I see you in the gym, I'm just like, I want to be that guy when I grow up. Or just having my friends
Yeah,
generally around me, just having a positive energy, good vibes every day. But when it comes to
yeah,
specifically tied down to clothing brands and the gym and stuff like that, I do look up to a creator. His name is Noel Diesel, however you want to say
mm,
it. That guy is just a saint.
yeah,
I love that guy. He's just all positive, all positivity, just preaching nothing but greatness out to his fans, out to his supporters. And if I ever meet that guy, I'm gonna give him the biggest bear hug known to man. Like I'm just gonna like try to pick him up or something. Uh, but that's pretty much the fitness sphere of it. What I more so look up to,
yeah,
I guess you could say, is someone named. Obviously, you probably know him. His name's Jordan Peterson. I've been trying to get back into
absolutely.
books and reading and whatnot, and so far right now I'm reading the 12 Rules for Life. And man, what a fantastic
Yep,
book! There are definitely parts of it where I struggle visually to paint the picture in my head, but I end up reading it over 30 times, and then the picture gets in there. Um, but I just genuinely like the way he ties everything together. He will go on like 30 pages about one topic, and you would think, okay, this has nothing to do with the chapter, and then suddenly the last half page it all just clicks. Man, it's
yeah,
nice. It's perfect because it gives you something to look forward to. But I love the way he speaks and how he tells you like, hey, the world is not going to be easy. Um, the world's going to be tough. It's going to beat you down, but how you get up and react to it and keep moving forward will determine what happens in the end game. And I think people like
yeah,
Noel and Jordan, I don't know if I could compare them, but I would say both of those two I look up to in the sense of, yeah, one of them Noel I could look at as a second dad to me, like, wow, he is so positive. Thanks for being for me, man. And I look at Jordan, I'm like,
Yeah.
Wow, man, thanks for beating me over the head with a stick and telling me it's not going to be okay, that I need to work for it. So having those dualities just
Yeah.
always there. It's like, whenever I just need a little bit of comfort, I'm like, all right, I'll go to Noel. And whenever I just want to be beat over the head with a stick, it's like, I'll just go to Jordan and be like, all right, thanks, man.
I love it.
Those are pretty much
That's
the
good. No,
two
and
that immediately stick out in my head.
yeah,
Yeah, those are the two that immediately stick out in my head. But as much as the big names and whatnot, I would say matter and mean to me. What means more to me is having all of the people that are close, like my mom, my sister, my little nephew now, and my friends that I see every day at the gym. It's like those are the people
yeah,
that I could sit there and talk to about anything and have psychotherapy,
yeah,
is what Jordan would call it. What me and you are having, something to where we could sit down and just tell the truth and walk away as better
yeah.
people at the end of the conversation. That's
Amen.
that's what I would rather have, rather than consistently chasing somebody that I probably never met and probably will never meet. Uh, but that's what I would say I would look up to is mostly Noah Diesel, Jordan Peterson, and everybody else around me that I see every day.
Amen. Beautifully put, good sir. And I like the dichotomy that you got going on there. You've got the good cop and bad cop between Noel and Jordan. You got the one that'll make you feel good. You got the one that'll beat you over the head with a stick. And it's interesting that Jordan Peterson's modality is he is hitting you with a stick, though it's in the kindest, most gentle Canadian voice tonality, uh, pacing that's
Yeah.
ever been said on stage by a man ever that you know that you respect. At the same time, he just comes off like the genuine Kermit the Frog leader, spiritual philosopher that he is. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I had the opportunity to actually go to his seminar
Yeah.
in San Jose last year, and it was absolutely amazing. So I highly recommend that you book and get a chance to see one of his shows. Life changing, absolutely life changing. And who knows? We'll speak it into the universe of
One
manifestation
day.
that
One day.
years from now, we've got the Noel out there in the universe. We might get you to meet him, and we'll circle back to this episode, years or months from now, and be like, remember, we put that out there into the universe together. Um, so help him out, man. Help us manifest that
Noel,
for
man,
Justin,
if
so we
I
can make
give
that
you
dream
hugs,
come
man,
true.
where you at?
Love it. And just as we transition to the third half here of the episode, I usually like to kind of open it up, and I'm doing a better job of this. Thank you so much, fam. I'm doing a good job in season 2. You've been reminding me with all the messages. Thank you so much of reminding everyone to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to find Justin down below. Of course, he's amazing in that regard. Follow him, support the brand. He's going to continue to grow. We're going to be here as a family supporting you, and those links will be down below. So as we transition into this third half of the episode, I like to open it up in the sense of giving it back to the amazing guests that we get a chance to interview here and have these incredible conversations with. What is something that you would like to leave the audience with? What would you like them to know maybe about you, about the brand, just in general? What is something that's maybe on your heart that you want to get a chance to share and leave this as a memory to look back on, good sir? What do you have to say?
I guess I could say to everybody that is at home listening, hopefully you're working towards something better that you would describe to yourself that you could improve on. Um, just make sure that
Yeah,
once you get into it, you get into it with a good heart. If you get into something with an ill heart, with ill intentions, it'll stick out to yourself before it sticks out to other people before. And that's something that I
yeah,
personally try to stray away from. So I've already told myself and close people that are around me, like, hey man, like, yeah, I started this brand, but like I'm not in it for the money. If you think that I'm gonna like leave you or turn my back on you down the line and just kind of forget about you when I if it
yeah,
hopefully grows big one day, just know like I'm not gonna forget about the
yeah,
people that were there since day zero helping me out. And I've already told a few of my friends, and some of them a lot bigger than me, like, hey, if you ever see me like acting out, saying like, oh, you've changed since the day you started this brand, just slap me. Just hold people accountable to put you back like to what you originally were before you would change, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um, just slap me and bring
it
me
does.
back to reality and just say, hey, man, you told me to do this to you. If you ever acted out and you're acting out, um, that's something that you have
Yeah,
to hold pure to yourself. Once you,
yeah,
if you choose to start, like, let's say a business or something, and it ends up working, you just have to stay focused on your true goal. Have your true goals set up for you, and work towards them little by little every day, because
mm,
it's really hard to move mountains, but once you start building the stepping stones, you look back at them down the line and realize, wow, like, look how high up I am
yeah.
up on the mountain.
And you touch on it a little bit before. So just kind of go into it even more in the sense that we're on the right track of thoughts here. How important is your support group as you're going and growing?
Um, it's definitely something to behold. So
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody has heard the term. It's not about what you know; it's more so who you know. Well, your
Mm,
network is going to end up taking care of you if you take care of them. I'm not saying the one friend that you never talked to, or the one person that you met one time and shook hands with and never again. No, I'm talking about the people that
yeah.
you talk to every single day. And
Yeah.
for me, it's a it's a little bit harder because a lot of my friends don't have the same kind of goal as me. Some of them decided to go to
Mm,
school, some of them decided to go to work, and that's
yeah.
completely fine. I'm not going to stop them from their goals, but um,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of people that I could look back on that are doing the same thing as me, that I could be like, hey man, let's have some talking. What have you done in this situation that I'm going through that
Mm,
you could potentially help me with? And what are you doing to combat this issue that I'm going through with? And let me, like vice versa, let me help you out with the issue you're going through and whatnot.
yeah.
Um, I think having people that are in the same mindset as you, that are working towards the same goal as you,
Mm,
is eternally important, because there's going to be times where you have no idea what you're doing, and just having those few people that you could refer to and just be like, hey man, what do you think? Getting an outside perspective,
mm,
someone that's not involved with what you're doing, or even doing their own thing that could help you in some way or another. You'd be surprised that
yeah.
how many people that have never touched a clothing brand or even started a business, you end up asking them, like, hey man, like, what do you think about this? And one thing, something they say ends up clicking and working. Like, it's just an outside
Yeah.
perspective, an outside view that somebody could potentially help you with when you're going through a rough patch that you may not know how to get out of. um,
Mm,
what I try to do in my personal space is, for the friends that are building their own, I guess you could say, they're being trying to be their
yeah.
own boss, trying to start whatever they want to do for themselves. Um, is
Mm,
I'll try to bring them up with me. Um, some of my
yeah.
friends that you've obviously know, his name's Davion. I helped this kid out a lot. I love that kid to death. Um, he takes
Absolutely.
amazing videography, photography, and he's a power lifter, which will be competing in nationals. Um, but more importantly, he's my
Love you,
friend,
Davion.
And when he says,
Yeah.
I want to be more, I want to do more in life, I want to be bigger, I want to be like, I don't want to just work for a gym brand
Yeah.
or a gym chain for my whole life, or I don't want to work these pickup jobs and whatnot. I want to be something more. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Let me help you, catch you up to my level of what
Mm,
I understand so far, which is not a lot. I learn every day,
yeah.
and just try to catch you up to my level, so that
Yeah.
way we could try to help build each other up, and then hopefully down the line get somebody else involved. Like, hey, us three, all right, let's help build each other up. Um, I think having people like that is very important, because man, if you could take on the whole world by yourself, you're a lot
Yeah.
stronger than me, because having those few people around makes a night and day difference.
Yeah. Our support team matters a lot. It does. And I love what you're sharing in the truest sense if we can codify it and perhaps paraphrase it into a coaching tool set for others to garnish and listen to. And what you're saying is diversify our support. Diversify the support that we give to others in our friend groups, right? In our communities and in our circles of influence. Different types of individuals come together for certain reasons to align, and that's a beautiful thing. And that sometimes what Justin is really alluding to, fam, is the fact that the diversity of support that we're going to get from our friends and from our colleagues and from our family and from our influences in our network is also something that we can rely on. Even though someone might be in a completely detached, industry, someone from, machine working to medical work to legal work, everyone's going to have input to be able to share and to grow with one another. If the target is the friendship and the growth of the friendship and the development of the goal is that, then the diversification of support is paramount. And we're going to surprise ourselves wherever we find that. So, in the truest sense, really, when we look at it, it comes down to the idea of being able to always be open minded. And just to remind the audience, in every single episode with this from Rough Sketch to Final Draft, is that we humble ourselves in the fact of not ever having all the answers. That's the whole entire premise of this, is that we're figuring it out. That's why we bring on amazing individuals such as Justin, as he's working through this process, creating himself from scratch in the Rough Sketch to Final Draft portion of it, forging towards a final draft. And the fun thing about life is that usually the final draft isn't even written or even published until much later on in life, and is decided upon by our peers and the diversity of those that we've supported along our journey. And Justin is a fantastic example of that. And I know that where you're headed is going to be an amazing thing. So I want to kind of just add one last little segment here for the questions and the benefit of the audience, being that you are a self-made individual that is growing in a challenging time with the world around us. Not to talk about it, but at the same time to say it within context. How did you find the inner strength to decide that you wanted to forge forward to become this person for yourself and the idea of being a self-made individual in the 20th century? What were some of the challenges that you've come across there, and the idea set that got you there?
Where could I start with that? I guess I
Good
could
one.
say that
Take me home.
ever since I was a little kid, I was always oh yeah, I was always the odd one out when I was a little kid. I was always like trying on these weird combinations and just weird things, and obviously get made fun of for it, and when you're that little immigrant kid that doesn't speak English, people look at you a little funny. Um, and
I'm
just
aware.
growing up, I always knew that, hey, maybe like we came to America to get this American dream, right? Well, American dream isn't exactly working 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. until the day I roll over. Um, so it's always been like a
Yeah.
continual search, I guess you could say. Like, okay, what can I do? What is the purpose, and what am I gonna do about it? I didn't want to spend my whole life just partying and wasting it away at video games and whatnot. So I said, okay, well, I've been going to the gym, and the clothing brand thing is a little cool, and it's kind of gravitated towards me. And like I said, it's pretty much the rest was history. I knew that I wanted to be more. I just didn't know what. So it's been, I guess you could say, 24 years of searching of what that more was, and
Yeah.
we're still searching for it. We'll see. We'll see where this brand gets us and keep improving it and building it, and we'll see what the community will build into in a few years, right?
Well said, good sir. We're proud of you. It's a pleasure to get the honor to be able to interview you today, good sir. We look forward to having you as a return guest, possibly again in the future. So earmark that for the future. We're looking forward to having you connect with the hero that we've got on board for you, and we'll talk about it later also when you get a chance to see a Jordan Peterson show. And in the meantime, fam, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, follow Justin. He's absolutely amazing. Check out the brand. The clothing is incredible. Support it. Watch with earnest as we see this man develop into the next Alpha Elite and Gymshark brand out there. And Justin, if you have anything as a closing note, go ahead and say something to the audience. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up, good sir.
I just wanted to tell everybody thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to Adam and the podcast. I hope that I delivered for being my first, I guess I could say, introduction into the world out there into the public. I know that I probably strayed to like 30 different topics in like one sentence, but I'm going to build and improve on it like everything else. I hope I hope everybody enjoyed me rambling on about for a little over 46 minutes now. And yeah, that's about it. I hope that Adam will have me as a guest, hopefully as a sit down talk sneak peek is the next season of this podcast. Is a wonderful podcast. So Coach Adam, we'll be seeing you more often. And like I said, thank you everybody for listening in. It really does mean a lot to me.
Thank you, Justin. And to everybody, cheers.